Welcome back. I wanted to get out a quick video today on something that I've been using with a lot of my lifters lately and seeing a lot of success, and that is one simple cue to really perfect someone's hinge. If you are unfamiliar with what hinging is, I'm going to get that into a little bit, but also this is going to go a lot with some of my other deadlift videos where I talk about the entirety of the setup. I go with slack pull. This honestly may be one of my fastest videos ever because this is a very simple trick, but something that can make a profound difference in someone's deadlift if done correctly to really make sure they are hinging to the best of their ability and getting their setup to be optimal. Before getting into that though, I put out a couple teasers on YouTube and Instagram, and this is still not the full reveal, but I'm gonna give a little bit more information about an awesome collaboration and new business that I have coming up with Sean Noriega, Marcellus, and Matt Cronin. If you like the content we all put out, if you like these videos and you want that more frequently and consistently from some of the best coaches in powerlifting with all the information you would want on technique and programming and nutrition and weight cutting and all aspects of what goes into being the best powerlifter possible or best powerlifting coach, we've got that coming pretty soon. And to stay on top of it so that you can get the full reveal once we immediately announce it, you'll want to follow the Instagram page, Powerlifting Now. So I'll link that below. It's at Powerlifting Now is our handle. And once we do the full reveal, you're going to get all the information of what this new collaborative business is going to offer. So getting into our topic today of the one simple cue to really perfect your deadlift hinge, the reason this is so important is the deadlift is a hinge-based movement, especially the conventional deadlift. And while I'm gonna demonstrate everything today conventional, this could be used for sumo, especially people who are not as well leveraged, who have a bit more of a hinge and have to lean a bit more and not be as upright. But I would say more so, this is something that really tends to benefit conventional pullers in making sure they hinge properly. This video as well is actually gonna help lead into the next video I'm gonna do. And again, if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen a little bit of me teasing. The next video is gonna be about how to stop over wedging in the deadlift, which, hint, a lot of it comes down to that initial hinge. So this is gonna help to be a prequel to that. And when I do that video, I'm gonna reference this video a lot and making sure that this is a standard that you are setting up in this manner so that then when we look at possible reasons for over wedging, you can understand kind of the baseline of what we need to fix. And then from there, all the other aspects of making sure we are maintaining our center of mass, holding position, and not over wedging in the deadlift. So what is this one simple deadlift trick that I've been alluding to? Before that though, let's recover what is hinging. So hinging at its basis is hip flexion. We are bending at the hips and flexing. Within the hinge though, there's some important factors because, and frankly, when we squat, we are hinging as well in some manner. Within the deadlift, when we are thinking of just solely a hinge or maybe a Romanian deadlift or a stiff leg deadlift, one of the key components is we're gonna maintain a vertical shin angle. We're gonna have some knee flexion because if we are going to hinge and we keep our legs completely straight, our shins actually have to go into a negative position and shift backwards. When we squat, the shins go into a positive angle and shift forwards. In a proper hinge, what we're trying to do is keep that shin angle neutral and directly 90 degrees in sense to the floor while our hip flexes. So you can see here, as I go down, I'm maintaining that shin angle, I'm maintaining that midfoot position. I have flexed at the hips without letting any other joint be able to compensate to get that movement, and then returning back up. So how to hinge in the entirety of it could be a whole video. And honestly, I'll link it down below. David Wilson has a really good video on this. So I would make sure to check that out. But for the people who understand somewhat how to hinge but still struggle with it, there's one simple trick. And the trick is, if we take our thumb and put it on the top of our obliques, and then take our middle finger and put it at the top of the thighs, and we pinch those together until they touch, you're likely going to find you magically hinge about perfect. And so we can actually replicate this in the deadlift. So as you're watching this, it would actually be good to kind of go through this yourself, just body weight as I'm kind of describing it, but put your thumb at the bottom of your oblique, put your middle finger at the top of your thigh, and then while standing there and just thinking about keeping your knees stacked over your heels and maintaining a vertical shin, think about pinching your thumb and your middle finger together. And guess what? I bet you will find you do a pretty natural hinge. The other thing you can possibly do is rather than do thumb and the middle finger, you can just put your fingers at your hip crease, and while maintaining that vertical shin angle, you can just kind of push your hips back and get into that same relative position. Either or works, and usually you want to start with the middle finger and the thumb because that's gonna have a little bit more context as you feel like you pinch those together, because you literally cannot pinch them together unless you allow those hips to flex naturally. And so you can actually bring this to your deadlift setup. As you go through and you've seen my other videos, you can know that one of the important aspects, especially in the conventional deadlift, is we're going to start with a hinge before we do anything else. And this also, cue kind of helps, even if you do it long term, it helps you not to reach for the bar, because one of the big issues with people in hinging for a deadlift is they tend to want to start reaching for the bar too soon. They don't fully hinge, and either they, one, start driving the knees forward, two, they start rounding at the back, and they don't complete their hinge first. They reach for the bar too soon versus letting the bar come to them. So within this cueing, thumbs, middle fingers, thighs vertical, we pinch that together. I am now in position to where I can almost reach the bar, and I never tried to initially do it. Instead, I've hinged to the bar. From there, it's just a little bit of knee flexion to grab it, and then I wedge in, and my deadlift's complete. It simplifies the component and breaks it up into multiple segments, because again, going back to some of my other videos alluding to this, too many people make it one movement and they just try and deadlift all in one motion versus there's not necessarily a time limit. You have 60 seconds to complete a lift or to start the lift on a deadlift. You probably aren't taking 60 seconds to set up. Maybe 20 seconds if you really take your time. So if you see here, I walk up to the bar, my clock's going, thumbs, middle fingers, hinge. I maintain that position, let my arms kind of hang and loosen a little bit, grab the bar, wedge in, deadlift. So that's it. One simple cue to really help perfect your hinge. And for some, this may seem pretty obvious and fairly simple for those who know how to hinge. But the fact of the matter is one of the biggest issues I see in the deadlift and powerlifting is how many powerlifters have no idea how to properly hinge or do an RDL or do very much what I just mentioned here. I see beginners all the way to elite level lifters that have no idea how to properly hinge, and it's the base form of what a deadlift is. And this cueing that I went through is the exact same way, honestly, I would teach someone who's never lifted a weight before. And it transfers just as well to powerlifting because it's so simple, it's so easy, and you can easily add it to your setup with very little interruption. And so with that, adding it to your setup, one, you could do it and continue to do it. It's very simple just to put those thumbs and the middle finger on the oblique and the thigh and pull together. It can be a very easy part of your setup because not only does it help hinge, it helps you to stop reaching for the bar too soon, or maybe eventually it becomes fairly habitual and natural and you no longer need to cue that externally with the actual fingers and the feeling of it, and you can take it away. Either way, it helps to be able to kind of create the same replication of technique and the same consistency rep after rep. And outside of that, as always, if you have any questions on today's video, make sure to comment down below and I'll definitely make sure to answer back. Subscribe and share, and if you're still sticking around, make sure to go follow Powerlifting Now on Instagram, as I talked about earlier in the video, so you can get all the latest information on our new collaborative business that if you like these videos, you're definitely gonna like what we've got coming for you. So outside of that, I'll talk to you all later. Peace.